The heavy doors of Westfield High swung open as Maya stepped through, her backpack slung over one shoulder. Conversation stopped mid-sentence. Heads turned. Eyes followed her every move down the crowded hallway. "Who's that?" someone whispered behind her. "New girl," another voice answered. "Looks like she's from the city." Maya kept walking, her chin held high. She had done this dance before. 3 schools in 4 years meant she knew the routine. The stares, the whispers, the judgment. Her dark skin made her stand out in this predominantly white suburb like a single drop of ink in clear water. She paused at her locker, spinning the combination lock with steady fingers. Around her, groups of students clustered together. The popular kids claimed the center of the hallway. The athletes wore their leather jackets like armor. The quiet ones pressed against the walls, trying to become invisible. Maya belonged to none of these groups, and that was fine by her. She had learned to read people quickly. Survival skill. The blonde girl near the water fountain seemed kind. The tall boy with glasses looked nervous but harmless, but the group of boys leaning against the trophy case? Their eyes held something different. Something that made Maya's muscles tense instinctively. She had seen that look before. The warning bell rang, and students began shuffling toward their classrooms. Maya closed her locker and turned to leave when she found her path blocked. 3 boys stood in front of her, led by a stocky kid with bleached hair and a smirk that screamed trouble. Well, the leader drawled, crossing his arms. "Look what the wind blew in. I'm Chad, and this is my school." His friends flanked him like loyal dogs. The redhead on his left cracked his knuckles. The lanky one on his right kept glancing around nervously. "You seem lost, girl," Chad continued, stepping closer. "This isn't the kind of neighborhood you're used to, is it? Maybe you should go back where you came from." Maya's jaw tightened, but her voice remained steady. "I'm exactly where I need to be." "Oh, she's got attitude," the redhead snickered. "Thinks she's tough." Chad's eyes narrowed. "Let me make something clear, new girl. We don't need your kind stirring up trouble here. This is a good school with good families. Clean families." The words hit their target, but Maya didn't flinch. Instead, she studied each of their faces, noting their positions, their body language. Chad was the obvious leader, but he was all talk. The redhead was the real threat, his fists already clenched. The lanky one looked uncomfortable, like he didn't really want to be there. "Are we done here?" Maya asked calmly. Chad's smirk faltered at her composure. The cafeteria buzzed with the usual lunchtime chaos until Maya walked in. Conversations died down as she grabbed a tray and moved through the lunch line. She spotted an empty table near the windows and sat down, unwrapping her sandwich with deliberate calm. "Look who decided to join us for lunch," Chad's voice boomed across the room. He approached with his crew, their footsteps echoing on the tile floor. Every student in the cafeteria turned to watch. Some pulled out their phones, sensing drama. Others quickly looked away, not wanting to get involved. "You know what I heard?" Chad said loudly, making sure everyone could listen. "I heard people like you get free lunch. Is that right? Welfare baby?" Snickers rippled through the crowd. Maya continued eating, not giving him the satisfaction of a reaction. "Hey, I'm talking to you." Chad slammed his hand on the table, making Maya's milk carton jump. That's when Sam appeared. The blonde girl from the hallway stepped forward, her face flushed with anger. "Leave her alone, Chad. She hasn't done anything to you." Chad turned his attention to Sam with a cruel grin. "Oh look, she's got a little white savior. How sweet." "I said leave her alone," Sam repeated, her voice shaking but determined. The redhead moved fast, shoving Sam backward. She stumbled, nearly falling over an empty chair. Several students gasped, but nobody moved to help. Maya's eyes scanned the room for teachers or security. Not one adult in sight. Typical. They were always around when you didn't need them, invisible when you did. That was a mistake, Maya said quietly, standing up slowly. The entire cafeteria held its breath, the final bell rang, and Maya gathered her books, hoping the day would end without more trouble. She walked through the hallways toward the exit, ignoring the whispers that followed her like shadows. Some students offered sympathetic looks, but none dared to speak up. The afternoon sun was warm on her face as she stepped into the parking lot. She had almost reached the bus stop when she heard footsteps behind her. Heavy, deliberate footsteps that weren't trying to be quiet. Going somewhere? Chad's voice cut through the air. Maya turned around to find herself surrounded. Chad stood directly in front of her, blocking her path. The redhead moved to her left, the lanky kid to her right. Two more boys she didn't recognize completed the circle. 5 against 1. We didn't finish our conversation, Chad said, his voice lower now, more dangerous. See, I don't think you understand how things work around here. The redhead pulled something from his pocket. A pocket knife. Small, but sharp enough to do damage. Maybe we need to teach you some manners, he said, flipping the blade open with a soft click. Maya's heart rate stayed steady, but every muscle in her body coiled like a spring. She looked each of them in the eye, her voice calm but carrying an edge of steel. I'm going to say this once, she said quietly. Walk away. Right now. Before you do something you'll regret. Chad laughed. Or what? You'll cry. The redhead stepped closer, knife gleaming in the sunlight. Chad's patience snapped. He lunged forward, throwing a wild haymaker aimed at Maya's face. But she wasn't there anymore. Maya ducked under the punch with fluid grace, her years of training taking over. Chad's momentum carried him past her, and she grabbed his wrist, using his own force against him. A quick twist, a pivot, and Chad hit the asphalt hard, crying out in pain. The redhead with the knife rushed at her from the left. Maya spun, her leg sweeping up in a perfect arc. Her foot connected with his wrist, sending the knife flying across the parking lot. Before he could recover, she delivered a precise palm strike to his solar plexus. He doubled over, gasping for air. Holy crap, she knows karate, someone shouted from the growing crowd. Students poured out of the school building, phones already recording. The circle of onlookers grew larger, but they kept their distance, watching in amazement. The lanky kid hesitated, but his friend didn't. The unknown attacker charged from behind. Maya heard his footsteps, dropped low, and swept his legs. He crashed to the ground, skidding across the rough pavement. Chad scrambled to his feet, his face red with humiliation. Get her, he screamed at the remaining two. They came at her together. Maya moved like water, flowing between their clumsy attacks. A quick jab to one's rib sent him stumbling backward. An elbow to the other's shoulder dropped him to his knees. The lanky kid finally worked up the courage to join the fight. He grabbed for Maya's backpack, trying to pull her off balance. She spun with the motion, using his grip as leverage. Her knee came up, connecting with his stomach. He released her immediately, staggering away. In less than 30 seconds, all 5 attackers were on the ground, groaning in pain. Maya stood in the center, barely breathing hard, her stance relaxed but ready. The crowd erupted in cheers and gasps. Phone cameras captured every angle of the aftermath. Principal Johnson pushed through the crowd, his face stern until he saw the scene. Chad and his crew were still picking themselves up from the asphalt, while Maya stood calmly brushing dust off her clothes. What happened here? He demanded. They jumped her. Sam called out, holding up her phone. I got it all on video. She had a knife, another student added, pointing to where the blade lay discarded. 5 against 1, Principal Johnson, a senior said. She was just defending herself. The principal's expression softened as he looked at Maya. Are you hurt, young lady? No sir, I'm fine, Maya replied respectfully. Chad Morrison, you and your friends will be suspended pending a full investigation, Principal Johnson announced. Violence and weapons have no place in this school. As the troublemakers were led away, students began approaching Maya with genuine smiles and words of respect. "That was incredible," one girl said. "You have to teach me some of those moves." "Welcome to Westfield," a boy added with a grin. "I think you're going to fit in just fine." For the first time all day, Maya smiled back. Maybe this school would be different after all. The sun seemed brighter as she walked toward the bus, surrounded by her new friends.